It is 8:01 on a dreary, but in its own right, beautiful Wednesday morning. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week to chat about what's going on in the world of weather. I've got a haircut scheduled this morning, so I'm coming to you live from the parking lot of the haircut place. Hopefully, you're navigating the slick roadways well. I'll tell you this morning, across Central Florida, this is the kind of setup that we have. Gray skies over top of us. It's not what you'd call like a banner morning, right? Unfortunately. Yeah. All right. Over to our first warning live Doppler radar we go. Let's start in the metro where we are indeed watching some showers. Let me zoom in right along the Orange Seminole County border, kind of lifting on through Winter Park, Fern Park, Lockhart, up through Longwood, Heathrow, Sanford, watching some of this rainfall, up into Volusia County, Deltona, DeLand, DeBary, Lake Helen, Forest Hills, over to the shoreline here. There's Port Orange, watching some rainfall up through Daytona Beach. Yeah. And then out to Brevard County, watching a little stream of showers coming in here around the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and the Kennedy Space Center. But, while we are tracking rainfall, I'm happy to say what we are not tracking is any kind of strong storms. So at least for now, that's the case. Okay. Temperatures outside, not really what you'd call, uncomfortable. It's not bad. 69 right now in Ocala. It's 71 degrees in Leesburg, 72 degrees in Orlando, 75 degrees in Melbourne. So that's where we're at right now. It's cloudy, it's dreary. Here's a look at our 12-hour forecast for the day today, okay? 30% coverage of rain this morning. We're going to keep those showers around through lunchtime. And then this afternoon, we'll even run the risk of getting into some thunderstorms. So I want to make sure you're aware. I want to make sure you're ready to go with that, okay? It's not going to be, like a big severe weather day or anything like that. But some of these showers could get a little feistier, we'll say. Does that work for you? Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. Good morning to you. Emmy, good morning, good morning. David, good morning to you. Pam, good morning, good morning. David, how are you? Dawn, Karen, good morning. David, good morning. I wish I had prettier weather for you. Amy, Karen, good morning, good morning. Terry, Cindy, Tom, good morning, everybody. All right. So, what's going on? I've been kind of cycling through the live radar in the bottom left corner. I've been cycling through the satellite and radar. But let's take a bit of a full screen look at it, okay? There's this storm system, and we've been talking about this for days and days and days, but there's this storm system out in the Gulf of Mexico that's just funneling rains. And as a matter of fact, a couple of interesting things have already happened even just the last 12 hours time. First off, Miami-Dade has been watching flash flooding. There's video, if you look, I saw it on Twitter, of some of the roads just like completely flooded out. So obviously that's not good. Okay. Then there was a tornado warn cell down in the Keys. Let me pop back over to our live radar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from our radar. Let me switch over to Miami. And I mean, there's a look right now. Thankfully, nothing too strong. This is that Miami radar, and you can see some of the heavier stuff working. Interestingly enough, like right through the I-95 corridor there in Palm Beach County, very heavy stuff down into Fort Lauderdale. But look down here into the Keys. We have seen some of these little waves of more intense stuff. Let's look at the velocity channel. I don't see anything there like now. But if I were to go back, let's see, can I go back 3 hours? I don't remember how much data I have like logged. It was like 6:30 if I remember. It was like 6:30 we had a tornado warning. But that would have been out of the Key West radar, and I don't have that loaded. So anyway, you get the idea. Lots of moisture around. So complex weather pattern, and we had talked about this yesterday. We had talked about this the day before. But you've got your Gulf low that's going, okay? But at the same time, we're going to start developing this secondary low around South Florida, and that's going to become the stronger of the two. That's going to be the one that eventually, interestingly enough, like rides up the shoreline, and depending how close it gets to the northeastern United States, like could become a really interesting weekend weather event. So there's that. Frank says it almost looks like feeder bands. Yeah, I mean it's not tropical in nature, but it's still an area of low pressure, so it's definitely something interesting. Yeah, it is. It is. Is this storm likely to recycle as a hurricane issue this summer? I will tell you, Jennifer, this is definitely one of those. I don't know if it's going to end up being the signature part of the pattern, but it's definitely a part of our weather pattern that Jeremy and I are watching very, very closely. Does that answer it? Right? Fernandino is asking, is it going to rain all day today? The short answer is it's going to be raining all day today. Yeah, let's look at Futurecast. Let me dial that up and get an idea here, all right? So let's just start off with this morning Futurecast showing the showers through the day today. Watch how into this afternoon there's that swath of South Florida rain that's just really working into our area. And this afternoon through tonight, more and more rains around, continuing overnight tonight. And then look at tomorrow morning. I mean, no joke. Tomorrow morning is looking like it's going to be a soggy morning commute. And tomorrow's first part of the day is looking dark, wet, stormy. And then into the afternoon, keeping those storms around. So for right now, tomorrow actually looks to be kind of the worst of the weather days coming up here these next few days. Does that make sense? Like that's when we're going to have that area of low pressure developing off of our east coast. It's going to be getting the feistiest around, so etc., etc., etc. Now, in terms of rainfall, let's take a look at some of the computer forecast model guidance here, okay? Let's start with the American model and the GFS, the American GFS model and the European model, showing over the next few days that dark green, which would indicate 1 to 2 inches of rain across most of town. I do really like the European prognostication here, which is heavier stuff south. I think that that's probably the way this will play out. All right. So it's definitely something to watch. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. When we look at the forecast, this is what the Weather Prediction Center has put together. They're saying 3 to 5 inches of rain like Brevard County down through the Treasure Coast. And then obviously the further inland you live, the less and less and less. But either way, some of us are going to get some real decent rains these next couple of days. Others are just going to have kind of a cloudy, dreary setup. This isn't going to be like terrifying weather. It's just going to be clouds and rain, and we can certainly deal with that. I just want to make sure, my whole thing is like, I just want to make sure everybody's aware of it. Well, who cares? It's cloudy and rainy. All right, well, that's my job to tell you. So there we are. All right. All right. Angie says we need the rain here in Port Charlotte. Oh, for sure. I mean, all of Central Florida needs the rain. If we look at, let me dial this up here. Give me 2 seconds. If we look at the rainfall deficits, I mean, these are real numbers here, right? Around Central Florida, we're running 4.5 or so inches behind in Orlando, 6 inches behind in Sanford, 7.5 inches behind in Daytona and Leesburg, whereas Daytona Beach and Melbourne are at a surplus. So the inlet areas are definitely the drier areas. Now, that said, a couple of different interesting things. Obviously, you're not going to expect a high fire danger index. There's a lot of moisture around, et cetera, et cetera. But the Keach-Byram Drought Index is one way that we can look at kind of the moisture in the soil. And these lighter blue shades that we're seeing here is an indicator that at least below the surface, the soil is starting to dry out. Now, this little rain event will certainly help, but entering into the winter and the spring, when we really are at the peak of dry season, when we start to have to be concerned with fires and things like that, we'll take all the rain from now and use it. So that's definitely going to be we'll say a good supplement. A good supplement. I'll also add there's an El Nino workshop today down in Kissimmee. Manolfi's going. I'm not going to be able to make it. But one thing that we'll have to chat at some point. We'll have to try and get Manolfi on Coffee Talk maybe tomorrow morning or the next day, and just kind of hear what was discussed at this El Nino workshop, because these are the kinds of events that are put together, when we're in an El Nino year, and it's important for us to kind of, as meteorologists, be on the same page as the National Weather Service meteorologists, and that way we can all have a best practice to get information out to you, the end user. And certainly I would add that, I try to use these Facebook, Twitter, YouTube lives as a good venue of answering questions and being fully transparent and trying to get any messaging out there. So we're definitely going to be trying to do that. All right. All right, let's see here. It's just a blob of rain, Taylor says. Exactly. That doesn't say first warning weather day. That doesn't say tracking severe weather. It just says tracking wet weather. I typed that to try and make sure we all know, this is nothing terrifying. We can handle some wet weather. And interestingly enough, like Michelle writes, nice and breezy in coastal Volusia. It's so refreshing after all the heat we've been experiencing. And that's it, right? That's it. Right? Right? All right, let's see. Anything else? Very merry tomorrow. Look, Denise, if you've got some rain, hopefully that rain will clear out for very merry for you. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah. Mini hurricane down here. Karen, where are you? Let's see here. Today's my daughter Kendall's 10th birthday. She watches with me on the way to school all the time. Well, good morning, Kendall. Happy 10th birthday. What a fun time ahead. It looks like it should be cold out in Cocoa. I think that's the case area-wide. It's got that winter look, doesn't it? So let's do this, okay? So it's cloudy, it's dreary, we know that. Let's dial up our 7-day forecast and just kind of get an idea, okay? So here we are for today, 50% coverage of showers and thunder showers. Tomorrow, 70% coverage of showers and thunder showers. As I mentioned, tomorrow probably looks to be the most active of the days. Okay. So you've got that. Friday, we're starting to clear this out. And then I love this. Look ahead to Saturday. Look ahead to Sunday. The sun is shining. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Monday, Tuesday, rising rain chances. Now, I will add that Monday, Tuesday, and we'll look at some models, certainly. Monday, Tuesday gets to be a little questionable because there's going to be a front moving in, but you ready for this? Thanksgiving? Are you ready to take a look at Thanksgiving weather? Yeah, so early week probably get some rainfall as that next frontal boundary kind of works in, but look at our Thanksgiving week temperatures. It may just time out that we get cooler air right in time for Thanksgiving Day. How lovely would that be? Man, you want to talk about perfect timing, there's your sign. Love that. Love that. Love that. This weekend, Jeannie Rowan says, beautiful. Oh, I would agree. That's a big sunroof. What time of it's nice. There's not much sun today though. Yeah. Okay, Cannon, another awesome shirt. Thank you. I felt like, what I did is I was like, I feel like I needed to put the bluey, the ugly Hawaiian shirt on because I'm going to be studying all day today for some FAA stuff. And I'm just like, it's cloudy and kind of crummy outside. So try and bring a little sunshine. Even if it's not cloudy outside, my shirt hopefully will make you have to put on your sunglasses. At least that was my goal. So anyway, all right, let's talk tropics and then we can look at some models. Okay, does that sound good to you? All right, first things first, the area that we've been watching for some time now, down here in the Caribbean, bubble up of moisture, not terribly organized, not a big deal. Hurricane Center still highlighting it as having the potential for development, but they've dropped the development percentages just a little bit, down to a 50% over the next 7 days' time, and a 30% over the next, excuse me, over the next 2 days' time. Campeche. I'm not saying because it's a threat to them. I just need some coffee. So might see something there. Water temperatures are still 82, 83, 84, 85, depending on where. So there's definitely sufficient energy there. The models are just kind of backing off just a little bit. Then this little piece of energy that's sitting out over the Gulf of Mexico, and I've been kind of cycling through it in the bottom left corner of our screen. Are you going to load the satellite? Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing? So this area of low pressure here in the Gulf of Mexico is non-tropical. It's what's referred to as a baroclinic low. In other words, it's got fronts and stuff attached to it, atmospheric feeding and all this stuff. That's not. But if we come back to our trusty kind of surface map, that low is attached to a front. But what's going to end up happening is it's going to spawn this secondary low, and then that secondary low breaks off of the front and starts to lift to the north. That is when you've got an opportunity for some tropical slash subtropical slash extratropical development. Now, the Hurricane Center not going crazy on it, but as that moisture continues to lift away and detaches from the front, there's a low end 10% chance of development. Probably not going to happen, but it's there. It's something at least worth mentioning. All right. All right. You should recognize it's always sunny for pilots if you fly high enough. That's true. Get above that cloud deck. Yep. So that's kind of where we're at. There are two areas to monitor. Hurricane season, of course, runs for the next 15 or so days, right through the end of the month. So there's that. Not anticipating any big threats, thankfully, but there's stuff to watch, right? Gary, won't affect us much. Yeah, I mean, it's just this area of low pressure in the Gulf of Mexico that's already bringing all this rain. That's what's going to be affecting us. It's already affecting us, right? But perhaps most importantly, like, look at the weekend. Front south, breezy, a little less humidity, high pressure building in, like, okay, that's beautiful. You mean to tell me our weekend forecast is going to look great? Yes, I do, and I thank you very much. All right, so let's take a look at the computer models. This is the raw computer models. We look at this particularly during like hurricane season. See what's doing. Let's bring it full screen. There's that Gulf low. If you look in the bottom where it says forecast high 77, that's kind of where that Caribbean low is going to try and form. There's the Gulf low. There's that secondary low and the Caribbean low. And we had talked about remember, we had talked about this yesterday. This is a fairly complex scenario. So, no wonder the models are not having a great time with this. All right, working through. There it goes. It all kind of blobs into one, and then it lifts out and away. And then, interestingly enough, around Tuesday of next week, there's another little kind of northern Gulf low. Another Gulf low firing up. Now, if this plays out, that's Thanksgiving Day. That would mean Thanksgiving Day is going to actually be pretty stormy. And that's something different. The models are struggling with this like seasonal adjustment here for sure. But like that's 12Z, so that's Thanksgiving morning. And that's an area of low pressure just off of our west coast. Like that's not what you want for good weather. I'm just here to tell you. So for me, I'd love that to come in a little earlier, but no promises. And then afterward, high pressure builds in, and then another Gulf low. Let me tell you something, y'all. It doesn't take a Jeremy Nelson or a me to tell you that the Gulf of Mexico is probably going to get busy next hurricane season. That's a lot of the indication there. All right. Okay, over to the European model. There's our Gulf low right now. There's the secondary low. There's the Caribbean low. And then they blob, and then they work away. Now, the good news is the model runs this morning are kind of showing them moving away. Earlier runs were having them run up the East Coast like a nor'easter. And certainly nobody's, Nobody's excited about something like that heading into Thanksgiving weekend, right? So there's that. All right, so we'll see how this all plays out. Any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody from the peanut gallery? Anybody have anything? I'm here to answer anything you got. As I sip my coffee, because at the end of the day, that's very important. All right, let's see here. Appreciate your time and effort to help us understand the weather. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chris. Is Alex going to take you for a ride in his new plane? Oh, God, I have a feeling Alex and I are going to log many, many hours together in that airplane. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Miami floods and a light sprinkle. Lived down there for 20 years, and with all the building, it is definitely getting worse. Yeah, and I think that's definitely the problem. Yeah. How about them nights, Rita? How about them nights? Taylor's asking, what's the meaning of life? I have recently learned something very big. I've recently learned why they call it the human condition, because there is such good and such bad, and everybody is to experience all of it. So it's not that it's just good or it's not just bad, it's a condition. You kind of have to take the good with the bad there. That's my perspective. I don't know if it's spot on, but that's what it is. All right, long range temperatures. Here's the American GFS model showing this morning, showing that, yeah, the GFS is not bringing that cool air in for Thanksgiving. The GFS is backing it off until the day after, which makes sense. We just looked at that Gulf low on the GFS. So interesting. This is why computer models are guidance, not gospel. They're a pain in the tuchus, you ask me. Yep. The meaning of life is 42. Is that a thing? I don't even know. Chris is asking about rainfall totals for Central Brevard. So looking at the different computer forecast models, you're probably going to get a pretty decent amount of rain, probably the highest of Central Florida. This is the Weather Prediction Center, the WPC's forecast. 3 to 5 inches of rain for Brevard, 1 to 2 for the metro, and about a half inch to an inch across our western areas. So, that's kind of looking at all the model data and trying to generate a forecast based on the science, not just based on computer garb. So there you go. Yeah. I'm tardy today. Just wondering estimated rainfall amounts today and tomorrow. Just showed it, so there you go. Doctor Who, the meaning of life is 42. Oh, got it. Yeah, wouldn't have even known. Yeah. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've not. I'm not good. Pow. Bad nerd. Sorry. Looks so dark in Plant City, but it won't rain. I mean, we're tracking showers across a good part of Central Florida. Carrie's asking, can you explain the recycle process? Yeah, so the idea is there's this theory that the weather pattern sets up October and November and then recycles over and over and over and over again. Depending on the duration, it just copy paste. Now it's different. There's, seasonal adjustments, et cetera, but yeah, there's that. So you kind of try and look at it, understand it, and from there you can move forward and use it. And so that's kind of what we try to do in forecasting. So there you go. I think there's a GH in there, Tim. I don't know. I think so. Mickey, I'm not really set up to do it on this computer in the car. I apologize. Otherwise, I would. Yeah. Rita, I listened to a TED. Oh, see, now we're about to get deep. I listened to a TED Talk a few months ago that said the average peak of relative unhappiness is age 42. So there's that. Well, I'm 39, almost 42. So that's interesting. Am I due for a midlife crisis? Is that what that means? I don't know. Why do we have hurricanes here in Florida, but not really in Europe? The water temperatures are much cooler up to the north there. Yeah. There's the Coriolis force is very different. It's being just north of the equator is basically why. Yeah. Is it going to clear out before the weekend? I mean, we're going to stay cloudy and stormy right up to the weekend. But here's another look at the 7-day forecast. And I think you're going to like what you're going to see here, right? Like Friday, the rains start clearing out. And then Saturday, Sunday, we are looking much, much better. I love that. I love that. That times out perfectly. Yeah. Evelyn says, I'm 46, and yes, you are, Eric. Oh, God. Oh, God. I feel a midlife crisis coming on, y'all. I feel it. Rita, I don't think it means you're due, just that many find they become happier more often as they age past 42. I like that. Chris, you might be onto something. You might be onto something. Yeah. James, might be some spicy weather for Thanksgiving. That's going to be interesting. So let's do this. Let's go back to the GFS here. All right. Give me a few seconds to get that turned up. All right. So let's go back to the GFS here. And that's the European. Let me just dial the GFS up. I want to look at the composite reflectivity product instead of just the pressures. So GFS, mean sea level pressure, thickness. And I just want to look and see kind of what it's showing for that. There's Wednesday. So there's that area of low pressure developing. So that's 10 a.m. Thanksgiving Day. We can even zoom it in. Yeah, I mean, if this plays out, my friends, this is just raw GFS model data. But if that plays out, like that's 6-hour rainfall at 10 a.m. Thanksgiving, that's 1 p.m. So, think of it as during the day, that's kind of the rainfall product right here. That's where we're thinking it's going to rain during the day on Thanksgiving, based on the GFS. So if that Gulf low does play out the way the GFS is indicating, then there we are. There we are. Mickey, Eric's midlife crisis will probably be buying a plane. I think you're probably right. I mean, I'm not going to buy like a $1 million plane. I can't do that. But I'll buy an airplane that's like the price of a car. Once I get my Tesla paid off, I'll just take that payment on. Yeah. What's the rain situation for Eustis today? It's going to rain. On again, off again showers, lots of clouds. Catherine says, we're not letting you have a crisis. You have these beautiful children to raise. My husband was 42 when our son was born, and he's now 44. I'm going to enjoy it. But I feel a, like, evaluation of things coming. I don't know, something like that. A poor man's plane, like your poor man's boat. That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's it. In a few more years, you'll be able to use your joints to let us know it's going to rain. Yeah, I'm just going to sit in the weather center before and be like, yep, 40% chance of rain. Yeah. All right. That's our Thanksgiving hurricane. There you go. All right. Any other questions, guys? Anything? Because I've got an appointment in 1 minute. It's like 2 feet that way, but still. Got to go get my hair cut. All right. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I appreciate it. Be good. And I will chat with y'all later on tomorrow. Sound good? Bye, y'all. Take care.